We're continuing our journey through the GX era until we stumble upon an archetype known as Koala, used by Hayato from Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, who was thankfully disposed of as soon as the Season 1 ended. Alright, so Koalas are, again, a bit stretchy to call an archetype since, well, they're pretty freaking terrible. And yeah, there isn't a main winning goal here other than being connected by name. So yeah, let's actually delve into this and start off with their first monster, that being Sea Koala, a level 2 beast with 100 attack and 1600 defense. And once per turn you can target one monster your opponent controls, change its attack to 0 until the end of this turn. You must control a beast type monster other than this card to activate and resolve this effect. Okay, this is actually a pretty sweet effect to have. So it actually goes well in conjunction with some Reptilian cards, and some, yeah, so you can change the attack to 0, so you can easily beat over this thing, beat over a monster with this thing if you ever so feel like it. It actually works in conjunction very well with their next monster, that being Tree Otter. Once per turn you can target one face-up monster you control. It gains 1000 attack until the end of this turn. You must control a beast-type monster other than this card to activate and resolve this effect. So yeah, you basically use Sea Koala to negate the effect, no, not the negate the effect, to topple down the attack of a monster to 0, then use this thing to turn itself into a 2200 attack beat stick. Simple and easy. However, these are still very frail level 2 monsters, which are, again, which don't even make it into the battle phase of the opponent's turn. So yeah, and you usually have to resort to some shenanigans like double summon or Ayers Rock Sunrise, although Ayers Rock Sunrise is actually a very nice support card for this thing. Well, not technically a support card, but a very nice playmaker for the archetype, since it revives any beast monster and then knocks down the attack of a monster your opponent controls for every beast monster you have out, or all monsters, I'm not sure. But yeah, anyway, you tend to run Ayers Rock Sunrise in any beast deck, so yeah. As for these two, yeah, if you run them at all, you run them because there is a fusion monster of theirs, the only a fusion effect monster, and they have that they can use these as fusion materials. So yeah, that's why you primarily run them. Their level 3 is Death Koala. It has a flip effect to inflict 400 damage to your opponent for each card in their hand. Now, this remnant of the GX era was actually a very notorious burn engine enabler, since he was basically ran in any burn deck at 3 because of his sheer amount of burn damage he can bestow in conjunction with stuff like, I don't know, some stuff which can return cards to the hand upon being summoned or activated. So yeah, this thing can potentially get 2000 plus damage on board with its simple flip effect, and that's why it's so good. However, in modern day that's a bit too hard to accomplish, since modern decks usually tend to empty out their hand turn 1, maybe leave one card in the hand just for if they have at least 2 monsters that they can normal summon or special summon right away. So yeah, you get the point. However, that doesn't deny how powerful this thing is. It has pretty decent defensive values and offensive values for a level 3 as well. So yeah, this Koala should be ran at 3 at all times in a Koala deck. Their next level 4 is Vampiric Koala. If this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent by battle with a monster, gain life points equal to the damage inflicted. I don't know, I mean, it's their highest level 4 beat stick, and that's about as high as it goes. So yeah, if you run this thing, you usually run it for the attack values and not for its effect. And their other level 4 is this Kangaroo. Again, like Tree Otter, it's part of the archetype because one of the fusion monsters requires it as a fusion material. If the attack of a monster that attacks this monster is lower than the defense of this card, destroy the attacking monster. Damage calculation is applied normally. Okay, so this effect should have simply said if the attack of a monster that attacks this monster is 1600, because that's the only attack value that's lower than the defense value of this thing, and that's high enough to beat over this thing. So yeah, bit of a specific wording there. So yeah, this is the most specific, one of the most specific and baffling removal effects I have ever seen in my life. So no, you don't tend to build your deck around this kind of removal effect. Again, you can kind of manipulate it with Sea Koala. Maybe if you manage to activate that effect somehow during the opponent's turn. I don't know. In other words, don't play around with this effect too often. And their last main deck monster is Big Koala, level 7 vanilla with 2700 attack and 2000 defense. Again, their highest main deck beat stick, and it's usually ran because one of their fusion monsters requires it as a fusion material. And as for those fusion monsters, first up we have Koala, a level 6 with 2800 attack and 200 defense. Flamewell nostalgia for some reason. Requires Sea Koala and Tree Otter, and you can send one beast type monster from your hand to the graveyard and target one monster your opponent controls, destroy it, and mind you, this isn't once per turn. So yeah, it isn't exactly Worm King as opposed to tributing a worm monster to destroy a card on the field, anyone at that. So yeah, this is actually a very simple monster removal, and not to mention that he has gargantuan stats for a level 6 monster, so yeah. However, they have a bigger beat stick, which we'll get into soon. And as for this, you usually tend to run 3 of these if you're building a Koala deck for some reason. And their last monster is the level 9 Master of Oz, which requires Big Koala, this Kangaroo, and has no additional effects. To cut it some slack, this thing is the highest beast monster in terms of attack values, topping at 4200 attack. So yeah, it makes him a prime target for Beast Eyes Pendulum Dragon when used for a fusion material, because if you all don't know, Beast Eyes Pendulum Dragon requires a Dark Dragon monster and a Beast monster, and whenever he destroys a monster by battle, it inflicts damage to the opponent equal to the attack of the beast monster used. So yeah, each time you destroy a monster when you use Master of Oz as material, you basically inflict 4200 damage to the opponent, which is not something to scoff at. But anyway, yeah, this is their highest beat stick, maybe a vanilla, but hey, Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon was a thing, so I'm not going to judge. Alright, time for the grades. Consistency, their beasts don't have many support whatsoever other than Fire Formation tanky, so yeah, 1 out of 3 there. Power, yeah, Master of Oz has some decent attack values such as Koala, and Big Koala. But then again, Big Koala is not usually summoned because it's used for Master of Oz, and Koala actually requires some of their weakest monsters as fusion materials. So I'm actually gonna cut it some slack and give them a 2 out of 3 because they have potential to hit really hard, but that potential is rarely met. Comeback ability purely depends on top decking on stuff unrelated to the archetype, and the slightest, such as I mean Ayers Rock Sunrise can sometimes help, but that's again a single card which revives a single monster. Beast Warriors aren't Beast and Beast Warriors don't have much support card in that regard, so 1 out of 3 as well. Protection is completely non-existent. I'm not going to talk about it anymore, so 1 out of 3. And as for the versatility, no. These things are not splashable in anything other than this Koala being splashed into burn decks, and that's irrelevant at this moment, so 1 out of 3 as well. So that were Koalas. I believe they're not supposed to be getting any support in this day and age as well, due to how underrated they were when they came out. So yeah, if they make a prototype this Koala once more, I'd be happy to accept it, but other than that, there isn't nothing pulling me back towards this archetype. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned for more vids. There's an update, comment, like, and subscribe. And as usual, I'll upload the next vid whenever I can. See you all. Have a good day and peace.